Alright, hey guys, so I'm making a tuning setup video. Uh, Someone commented on one of my videos, and I was gonna make a tuning setup, just because I feel like it'll help people out, you know? And you don't have to, I'll go into detail with it, but just for uh, the quick rundown is a +3 top speed, a +3 shift speed, +3 flexible, and those I don't change at all. Those are set in stone. Like I've tried the other ones, and like I've tried the far left and stock, and they are just. It's just. I think most people will agree far right for those are the best. And then here's where I'm different, and I think I've tried a lot of runs with like the popular setups, and I've seen a lot of people just do far right everything, and I don't think that's good at all. And you're not going to be, I really don't think that you'll be as fast, at least in my testing. What I've done with testing is I've just gone into time trial, and I've tried like a bunch of combinations, just like iron, like like I'd change one thing, and I'd do like 20 minutes, 10 to 20 minutes of a time trial. And if I wasn't, if I didn't, when I got used to it, if I wasn't PRing or getting close, I just knocked that off the list, just to like knock everything down, to iron everything out. And this is why I think this is like the perfect setup right now. And this is after the patch too. I did have a different setup, but now this, I think it works even better with the new patch. But I use a stock suspension, which, it took me a while to actually land on this, because suspension was the biggest thing that I kept changing. And especially because when you look at the stats, it's like, why would you go stock if you get, you get more suspension here, over here, you get better traction. It's like, why did I land on the stock suspension? And the biggest thing is cornering. I think stock suspension is the most consistent cornering out of any of these. And I think the only other one for cornering that would be decent would be a +1 stiff. But that would mean a +1, or people do use stiff. And if you're used to it, it can work, with you're just going to have to use more braking and stuff. I really don't think overall, on certain tracks, it might be best. But the only thing I change is I always use stock, but on extremely rough, not even supercross, but motocross tracks, extremely rough tracks, and they also cannot have tight turns, because that's where this soft suspension, it's a big flaw, because on most motocross tracks, it's bumpy, and it picks up speed there, just a tad bit more speed than stock, but stock always catches the soft suspension in the cornering. And I think it's because soft suspension, there's just too much compression when you go into a turn, that you can't hold your speed in a berm as well as stock suspension. And that's the biggest thing. And also, soft suspension can work on the bumpy tracks, like I said, but you also have to hit berms perfectly, or it's a lot easier to slide over the top of like the inside rut. Like, we've all done that. In soft suspension, you're gonna have a lot more of that. And then here I have stock traction, which is also another big thing that's probably different than most people. Most people are using grip because it sounds the best. I used it for a while, and then when I was going through tunes and stuff, I find that it's best not to use that, because this affects mainly turning, not not leaning. And leaning's where the slide comes in. So if you just take a stock bike and you only turn with less stick, you'll notice that there's actually no slide at all. And any more traction, I feel like all the ones to the right, any more traction is way too much, and it makes it so that you can't turn normally. You have to go super wide around turns. And I think the only way to make these work is if you are heavy on the brakes, I guess. But even that, leaning with the grip, it doesn't look right at all, and I don't think it works well at all. I think it's because they don't really go together, because the lean is so... It's trying... Because you're turning with all this grip, you know? And then the lean is trying to slide, and they just don't work well together. And I feel like if you're trying to lean with the slide, you know, I feel like you have to give it some so it can actually work. And that's why I found stock traction to be the best, because especially after the patch, it is very, like, you have full control. I never lose control at all. And it's really easy to handle, unlike these where you turn left to right and you can't make like sharp turns. And the only thing I'd change would be I would go a slip traction. I don't actually. That's what I have. I have notes here of what I wanted to talk about. But I was using a +1 slip actually, because adjusting to the new update, I wasn't using lean at all because it was so bad at launch and just really hard. I was only using it very minimal and on Supercross. But if you don't want to use lean at all, then do a +1 slip and it will make your turns, like if you only want to use left stick, it makes it a lot more usable. But I'd suggest just learning how to use the lean better, because it's not as good really. And then here I use hard brakes. The only thing I'd change would be a +2 hard brake if you are on a Supercross track with almost every single turn if it's a 180. But I would not use anything more, especially on motocross. But yeah, that's basically the whole setup. And this is for the 125. It's my main bike that I use, mainly because the sound is way better than any of the other bikes. And actually, it might just be the sound, but it feels like the acceleration's a lot more. And the bikes are different, only by engine size. These two, like, these are all the same. But engine size, even though for example, this 250 has the same stats as this 125, but it's not true. I tested it out, and it's not true. Like, the 250, for example, has a higher stock top speed. They are different in that way. But they are all competable. Like, you can all... I think a 450 and a 125 can go at each other, especially in Supercross. But, what else do I want to say? Oh yeah, if you are using this tunes, I'll go over some tips. It's hard, because I kind of think. Some of these you might already be doing, you know? But for the most part, I'll just go over everything that I find that's probably not obvious with this tune. And this tune is... I mean, I think it's really straightforward, but it is going to be probably a little bit more advanced to get really good at it, like practice, because there's a lot going on. Since this is not catered towards, like, high grip and braking, or slippery, less braking, I guess, or soft brake. it's more of in the middle, so you have to do a bunch of stuff. So, just some normal things. Clutch boost is your best friend. That's probably pretty obvious. But anytime you use brake at all, you should be clutch boosting out. Besides that, if you don't use brake, for the most part, you don't want to use clutch boost because it'll slow you down because it, like, kind of stalls the bike for just, like, a millisecond. Yeah, it's hard for me to think and play, but other things. So, turning with, all of these big like these motocross, big ruts, for the most part, I don't lean that much. I just, what I do is, I'll be heavy on the left stick, you know? And the fine adjustments just come from braking, because braking slides the back end out just a tad, especially with the hard brake. And the only time I ever lean is, I guess, on tight turns. Like here, I lean just a little bit. And then on Supercross, I lean a lot. Only on the 180s. Anything else, I still just use brake. I really think that's it. It's hard to, like, say exactly what it... Oh, another thing, and I think this goes for every tune, is you're gonna carry a lot more speed if you use lean better, as in over bumps and stuff. Definitely, like, like here, with the braking bumps, leaning back, you carry more speed when you're like leaning back on your rear suspension, and that's over whoops too. You probably know that. But another thing that I found carries a lot more speed too is if you over jump a jump, or the jump doesn't have a proper landing, like kind of like Supercross jumps, how they have like real defined landings, but like something that is kind of more a flat landing or a bumpy landing, if you lean back at the end, like when you're about to land, you'll carry a lot more speed. But I think that's mainly the big points. Besides that, is just like practicing, and also I suggest first person. It could just be because I'm used to it from other games, but I'm not nearly as fast on third person, and first person looks really good in this game. But I think for upcoming videos, I'm gonna try to get that thing in the corner to show my controller, so you guys can see what I'm doing. I think that'll help. But let me know in comments if I missed anything, or if you have any other questions. I'll be sure to answer you. But, yep, that's it. Thanks for watching.